Hello, everyone. It's Lori Lee Rourke with It's Not About Food podcast. And today we're talking about self-love, loving yourself unconditionally. And why are we talking about that with eating disorders? Well, eating disorders is very much about loving yourself conditionally. So if I'm thin enough, I will be happy with me. If I stop overeating, I'll be happy with me. If I stop throwing up, I'll be happy with me. If I stop starving myself to death, I'll be happy with me. If I have the perfect body, the perfect face, the perfect boyfriend, the perfect job, the perfect house, the perfect every life, part of life, everything, then I'll be happy with me. And I am talking about today loving yourself, whether you have any of those things or not. Loving yourself unconditionally. Loving yourself warts and all. Even if something bad happens to you and you're really sick or you're really hurt, or you just have, you lose your job, you live in Turkey and a house falls on you. I mean, no matter what, you love yourself, you're on your own side, you're going to get yourself through it no matter what. So one of the things that I think about eating disorders is it's that part of us that is crying, is insisting that we love ourselves unconditionally. There's like a part of me that would be sort of saying, like a teenager would say, like, oh, really? You want to see how bad I can get? You better love me like this or you're going to see something worse. And I feel like I kept upping that noise or that voice until finally I had to listen to it. There was just no other way that I could get through my life if I didn't listen to that voice that was insisting that I love myself unconditionally, through and through, no matter what. So how did I do that? Well, it took a long time because I had not been taught to love me. I'd been taught to love other people and to be okay with other people and have a lot of generosity with other people and their struggles. But no, I was held to a much bigger, higher standard than that. I held myself to that because that's what I learned, how to hold myself to that. And so at some point, I had to say to myself, well, no matter what happens to me, I need to be on my own side. No matter what happens to me, I need to love myself unconditionally. So how did I do that? I keep coming back to that. I just had to start listening to the voice that I had within me that would tell me that I wasn't okay and that it was very conditional and that I was not okay and I probably never really would be okay, but I had to fight or I had to struggle to try to be okay. Well, I had to sort of like tell that voice to shut up. I had to tell that voice to stop, that it wasn't helpful for me to tell myself how much I loathed my body, how much I loathed myself, how uncomfortable and unhappy I was with me. So I had to start by saying I would listen to my voice within and it would say, don't eat that. And then I would eat it. And then I would say, well, you're a stupid idiot for eating that. And I would have to say, I'm so sorry that I said that to myself. I'm not really a stupid idiot. And I'm sorry that I said that to myself. I just ate all the candy. That's all that happened. I didn't rob a bank. I didn't burn down an orphanage. I ate all the candy. And I would say that to myself 1,000,000 times, like, don't be upset that you didn't go to the gym today. There's a lot of people that don't go to gyms, and you're just one of them. It's going to be okay. You can go to the gym tomorrow if you want to. Don't be upset. If you make a mistake, it's okay. You'll learn from that mistake, and you'll go on. So little by little of telling myself that I I understood when I made a mistake. I got it that I made a mistake, that I was sorry I made a mistake. I was sorry I spoke to myself that way. That was a mistake. Little by little, making amends to myself and really trying to change the voice that I heard within my own head that had been implanted by somebody else. So I don't want to sound like a big conspiracy thing, but it really was sort of like that. I had been brainwashed as a small girl into thinking that I should be a one size and that's it, one age and that's it, one thing, one perfect person, and that was it. And I could not come away from that. Now, it wasn't said this clearly. It was said in a million different ways of just how the culture treated me, how my family treated me, how my teachers treated me, my peers, how they treated me, and how I treated them, because I swam in the same fishbowl that they did too. So it was a pretty hateful crowd of little kids that I ran with. But I think that, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. And we are told that we have to push against each other and that it's inevitable that people go to war or that people fight and everybody should carry a gun. And you have to be, you can't be yourself, for God's sakes, because people don't want to know that. They don't want to see that. If somebody says, how are you? You're just supposed to say, I'm fine. You're not supposed to say, actually, I'm having a struggle, or actually, I'm working through a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, we do say that maybe to our really good friends, but even then it's kind of terrifying, and our heart beats fast and we start to go, oh, what will they think about me? But we're all taught to, or I was taught to not tell the truth, not really say what we mean or mean what we say, because we were trying to just get along in the world. And that really does, it really hurts us. It hurts our heart. It hurts our soul. It hurts our bodies. It hurts our minds to be so conditional. I had it for other people as well. I married people who I thought were this one way. And then when they turned out to be just themselves, I was very disillusioned and unhappy. And that happened to me. I played a part. And then when the person got to know who I really was, they were sort of upset. I don't blame them. I was pretending before that. I had been taught to pretend. How are you doing? I'm doing fine, thank you. That was my answer to almost anything. Are you hungry? Oh, no, I'm never hungry. Are you tired? Never. I'm never tired. Do you, do you like your job? Yes, I like my job very much. I just would not, don't complain, don't explain. That was like what was driven into my head. So to love myself unconditionally meant I had to see myself for who I was, all the great things and all the things not so great, and be okay, accept that. At some point in my late 20s, I had to realize that I was an alcoholic, that I could no longer really control my drinking, that if I drank even one drink, I could not guarantee that I wouldn't end up in a blackout. I couldn't guarantee that I wouldn't get behind a car and maybe hurt somebody or myself. I couldn't guarantee that I wouldn't be a really horrible person after drinking. So because of that, I went into AA. And in AA, I found out that I wasn't a really bad person. I just had a disease. I had a bad disease. And the cure was to not drink. And that seemed pretty easy to me. And I was able to do that. And I have many years sobriety. But the next layer that came up was drugs, and I was able to do it the same way with drugs. You know, if you don't do drugs, you won't be weird. So I was able to give up drugs. But the next thing was my eating disorder. And that I had a very hard time with because I could give up drugs and alcohol. I could give up smoking cigarettes. I could even give up debting, you know, like using credit cards to instead of money, you know, and then get in a lot of trouble about that. Relationships, you know, I was using relationships to get what I thought I needed and was able to stop doing that. But the whole eating thing, I had to fall in love with myself and to fall in love with the body that I had. And I had to treat myself really well. I had to see that I was compulsively overeating sometimes and restricting other times. And I was very sick. And I would do all kinds of stuff with food and the behavior around food. And I had to just look at that right in the face. It was way too painful to do that until I was able to have a lot of compassion for myself. The other recoveries, I did get compassion for myself, but it wasn't the first thing I had to develop. With my eating disorder, I had to develop that compassion piece, which meant I had to love myself. I had to have compassion that I even had to deal with this eating disorder. That for whatever reason, millions of different reasons, I was not an okay person with food or weight. That was a luxury that other people had that I didn't have. So I had to see that, and I had to be sorry for myself. I had to be compassionate. In order to accept it, I had to have compassion. In order to change it, I had to have compassion. In order to recover, I had to have self-love. So again, I started with hearing how I would speak to myself, and then I would try to counteract that with love. I'm sorry you said that to yourself. I'm sorry you feel like that about yourself, and I love you, and we're going to be okay, and I'm here with you, and I will never, ever leave you. And that's what I said to myself 100 billion times, you know? So what happened is eventually those things fell away, and I became okay that my body would change, shift and change as I got older. And I had to be okay with sometimes I overate and sometimes I underate, and that was not the end of the world. It was just the way life is. I had to be okay with I could eat a certain way when I was younger than I can eat now that I'm older, and that my body shifted and changed, you know, and it had to be okay. Things hurt a lot, and then they stop hurting, and then another thing hurts. You know, it's just we're not built to live, you know, 1,000 years. We're built to live, I don't know, however long we're supposed to live, but we're not going to get out of this world alive. That's what I know for sure. I have a good friend that says everybody gets sick, everybody dies. And that's what's going to happen to me. And I might as well like myself, love myself, be good to myself, have compassion and acceptance for myself while I'm going through the life that I go through, which is not a bad life. In fact, it's a really wonderful life. So I really want to make a plea to everybody that listens to this podcast to start today to unconditionally love yourself through and through, no matter what. Whether you have cellulite, or your legs are weird, or you don't like your hands or your hair, or you have to wear glasses, or your teeth are crooked, it doesn't matter. We're all really happy that you're here. We love ourselves and we're trying to love each other in this world. And I want to just make a plea for us to stop the self-hatred. I felt like if I could love myself, I could probably really love another person. But I had to start here. It's like with the person in the mirror. I had to start with this person and then go out from there. So thank you very much for listening to my little Ed Talk, not TED Talk, but Ed Talk, ED, Eating Disorder Talk. And please be a Patreon supporter. It'd be great to have you. And I think that's it. Thank you very much for listening. And we'll see you next month.